1, the Falcons face their fiercest rival, the Wildcats of Tuscaloosa County High, at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The Falcons' defense set the stage, declawing the Cats right from the start, not allowing them to get their paws on any points. Herman Bell led the offensive attack, gaining 113 yards on 16 carries and setting up a James McGee TD. Add on 2 Antonio Williams touchdowns and 2 Taylor Williams field goals, and the Falcons scratched the Cats 27-0. Week 2 saw the Pike County Bulldogs come to Falcon Field, but it was the Falcons who bit the Dogs. Central's talented offensive line, led by Jocelyn Jones's 8 devastation blocks, opened holes for Falcon runners all night long, as they totaled an incredible 415 yards on the ground. Herman Bell gained 198 yards and crossed the goal line 4 times, 3 by land and 1 by air on a Marcus Tyree pass. The Central defense pitched their 2nd straight shutout, and the Bulldogs left with their tail tucked after taking a 70-0 beating from the Falcons. The Ensley Yellow Jackets came to Tuscaloosa for Week 3, and they were the first team to score on Central in the '95 season. They put up a tough fight, but eventually the Falcons mellowed the Yellow Jackets. Herman Bell scored on a 71-yard run. And Antonio Williams found the end zone from 47 yards away. Both Bell and Williams totaled about 150 yards in the game rushing. Falcons win their first close one of the year, 21-14. The 4th game of the season was against the Chiefs of Cortland, but they entered a Falcon ambush. Williams and Bell were an unstoppable combination behind the blocking of their fullbacks and their offensive line. Williams scored 3 times and gained 140 yards. Herman rang the scoring bell 3 times while gaining 102 yards. And the defense got back on track, the sack track that is. For the 3rd time in their first 4 games, the Falcons held their opponent scoreless, scalping the Chiefs 56-0. Week 5 saw the Falcons lead Tuscaloosa for the first time, taking on area rival Jess Lanier in Bessemer. Expecting a tough game, and it was. They trailed 6-0 at halftime, but the defense kept them close until the 4th quarter, led by linebacker Fred Bishop. That's when Marcus Tyree took over. On the ground and through the air, Tyree was the boost the Falcons needed to come from behind and tame the Purple Tigers 20-9. That set up the battle of the unbeatens in week number 6. Number 1, Robert E. Lee against number 2, Central. At least it was that way at the start of the night. This was a low-scoring game featuring defense and Taylor Williams field goals. What are you waiting for? And more defense. Yeah. Finally, some offensive fireworks as Jason Kellen hit Herman Bell on the Falcons' only touchdown of the night, an explosive 80-yarder. Then, more defense. Still more defense. And when the Generals tried some razzle-dazzle, William Curry and Kelp Bailey made it frazzle, pulling rank of the Generals, taking their place at the top and remaining undefeated. Falcons win 13-7. Would there be a letdown in week number 7? I don't think so. West End came in as Lions and left as losers. Kelp Bailey took the opening kickoff a long way, and the Falcons were well on their way to another victory. Tell me, what are you waiting for? Marvin Constant was constantly gaining ground. He picked up 152 yards on the night. Marcus Tyree threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Michael James and the other to Antonio Williams. Again, the running and passing success, a byproduct of the great offensive line. Jones leading the way with 9 devastation blocks as Central devastated West End 42-14. Prattville came into town for week 8. I think. I'm really not sure. Who did the Falcons play? And what happened? It slipped my mind. Oh well. Let's move on. Final, I'm not sure. The 9th game of the year and final game of the regular season involved a visit from the Golden Gophers of Hueytown. The Gophers were pesky, giving the Falcons a scare, but the defense made the plays when it had to. Jason Jones with the interception here. Antonio Williams gained 191 yards on the night. A big chunk on this play. And Herman Bell ran for 102 yards and 3 TDs. Falcons win 25-19 and finish the regular season at 8-1, winning the area championship. Playoffs for Game 10 as Hartselle came to town on a night when the weather was awful, but the Falcons were great. Defense ruled in the rain and mud, taming the Tigers' offense. Not about to let a little water dampen their dreams. Special teams were also key to the victory. Antonio Williams' great punt return here, setting up a Falcon score. Coach Buzz Busby spread the scoring around, calling on Herman Bell to score twice and gaining 149 yards. McGee also scored twice. And Antonio Williams added 102 yards for the night and a touchdown as the Falcons won in the rain and the mud 37-6. Was the next victim in Week 11. The tenacious Tigers, though, were little more than a minor distraction for the high-flying Falcons. Marvin Constant's lead blocking and the O-line of Jones, Robbins, Busby, Agee, Elliott, Avery, and Guy led the way for Antonio Williams, who ran for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Herman Bell, who gained 185 yards and scored twice. The minor game was a major victory for the Falcons, advancing to the state quarterfinals, the final 31-14. To the road for Game 12 as Central battled the Bucks of Hoover High. The Falcons wanted to pass the Bucks, and when the Bucks wanted to pass, Jermaine Boyd was there to swipe it. Antonio Williams carried the offensive load with 183 yards and 2 touchdowns for the game. And the Falcons' offense took flight, finding a formidable combination. Marcus Tyree to Michael James, twice for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. The second one, some great moves by James. The Falcons' defense showed that a buck really isn't worth very much these days. Central wins 28-7, and it's on to the semis. Coach Buzz Busby was hoping the 13th game would not be an unlucky one as the Falcons faced the Hueytown Golden Gophers in the semifinals. The Central D was ready for the Gophers O. Fred Bishop, Mark Winch Wilder, Delvin Rayner, William Curry and company showing no mercy for the Big Squirrels' ground attack. And when they went to the air, Jason Jones came down with it. Not once, not twice. Three times wasn't even enough. Jones totaled 4 picks of Gopher passes. Again, the special teams contributed with a blocked punt, continuing to frustrate Hueytown as Central was closing in on a trip to the championship game. The Falcons' ground attack was again led by Antonio Williams, whose 119 yards and 2 touchdowns would have been enough. Add a Marvin Constant TD, and the Falcons advanced to the finals with a 28-0 shutout. 1 week later, it was title time. The defense knew they had to shut down the Jeff Davis offense. Coach Busby and his staff were ready for the Volunteers. The defense did its job, Fred Bishop leading the welcoming committee. DeJuan Clark and Jerome Garrett were invited. They stopped them on the ground and through the air. Clark and Curry met at the quarterback a time or two. And Mark Winch Wilder joined in the fun. The defense was superb, shutting down the Vols and forcing turnovers. But Central still trailed 6-0 in the fourth quarter. That's when Mark Winch Wilder intercepted a tip pass, giving the Falcons one last chance to score. They did. Jason Kellen gave the ball to Antonio Williams, who dove over from the 1, tying the game 6-6. The championship depended on a good kick by Taylor Williams. Off the Greg Busby snap and the Wes Williams hold, the kick was true. And the Falcons won their first state championship. The dream was complete. It was fitting that the defending state champion Central Falcons began the '96 season on defense against the Anniston Bulldogs. Both these Wells took the first bite out of the Dogs' hopes with this interception, but it wasn't their only big defensive play. And when the Dogs were forced to punt, well, it meant points for the Falcons. When the offense took over, that front line opened gaping holes for Herman Bell and Antonio Williams. And Michael James. Falcons win 58-16. After scoring 58 points without throwing a single pass in their first game, the Falcons shocked the Woodlawn Lions by taking flight on their first offensive play in Game 2.
Going deep, and it is caught at the 40-yard line downfield by number 4, Michael James. My goodness.
The Marcus Tyree to Michael James hookup got them started, but there were many, many more big plays to come. And the highlights weren't limited to the offense. Lewis Cole with the interception. And more defense from Coley. Lewis. And Garrett. Central throws the shutout, 60-0. The Falcons were buzzing to get after the Ensley Yellow Jackets in Week 3. LaDale Otis with the first sting, followed by the tandem of Jones and Cole. And Coley. James McGee joins the hit parade. Othie Wells with another heist. Falcons had the ball. Herman Bell and Antonio Williams turned it into points. 2 TDs apiece. Central turned the Jackets inside out by a 31-12 score. The Huffman Vikings came to Falcon Field for Week 4, but they weren't treated very nicely. When Central had the ball, Marcus Tyree, Michael James, Antonio Williams, and Herman Bell left Huffman huffing and puffing behind them. The Falcons blow away Huffman 91-20. That tremendous offensive line continued to show the way in Week 5 against Deslanier. This run by Herman Bell set up a 1-yard TD run by Antonio Williams. Antonio's second score was a 70-yarder. When the Falcons failed to find the end zone, they relied on the foot of Taylor Williams for more points. Time for Marcus Tyree to take over on the ground.
It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic.
And Jeff Nichols to the air to Brad Avery.
It's getting kind of hectic. It's getting kind of hectic.
And Kelf Bailey's interception wrapped up a 38-6 victory over the not-so-fierce Tigers. Week 6 is rivalry week at Robert E. Lee, starting with some big hits. Generals put it up, the Falcons came up with the picks. Which set up Central scores. The Falcons go to 6-0, jumping on the Generals 28-18. The 7th game of the season sounded like a more familiar tune, a blowout, starting with the hits. And when the Lions put it up, Rayshon Jones came down with it. It was another big night for Antonio Williams behind that outstanding O-line. A big night also for Tyree and James.
Tyree looking to throw, looking for Michael James downfield. It's caught, and Michael James is off to the races. Touchdown Central.
One more time.
Kelf Bailey, not to be outdone. Falcons terrorize the Lions 69-24. The Falcons traveled to Prattville for Week 8, and the ball was taking some unusual bounces. Following this great Antonio Williams run, the first half saw only one score. Herman Bell rang it up with less than 2 minutes to go as Central led 7-0 at the intermission. Myron Monroe picked up a loose ball and proceeded to set up another score. But defense was the key as Terry Jones' interception put the Raps on win number 8, 17-3. There was something special in the air at Hueytown for Week 9, as in special teams. Most of the highlights occurred on punts. Both the defense and the offense also provided big plays. The Falcons moved to 9-0 with a 54-21 win. The final regular season game matched the Falcons with the County High Cats. Defense was the key early. And when points were needed, Antonio Williams answered the call, scoring twice. Marcus Tyree added a 40-yarder. Central's defense throws a shutout as the Falcons scratch the Cats 24-0 for the first 10-0 regular season in school history. To the playoffs for Game 11 against the Walker Vikings. Walker couldn't find a way to stop the Falcons' top runner as Antonio Williams made several trips to the end zone behind that great Falcon front line. Tyree set up a score, throwing to Brad Avery for a big game. And he scored one himself, thanks to some great blocks. Central advances to the second round of the playoffs with a 48-20 victory over the Vikes. The Oxford Yellow Jackets were tough in Week 12. The Falcons relying on defense to stay close.
And off to Lynch. Oh,
Lynch.
my!
Hello.
What a hit by big number 92, Terry Jones.
Antonio scored 4 times, 3 short runs, and this 34-yarder. The Tyree to James passing connection put them ahead to stay. Falcons advanced to round 3, winning 35-28. To Mountain Brook at a quarterfinal matchup with the surprising Spartans. This game had it all. Big hits.
You're unbelievable.
And exceptional offensive excitement.
You're so unbelievable. You're unbelievable.
Bonus is I get 10% cash back.
That's cool.
And a thrilling
Kent rolling right, looking, thrown in the corner.
You're unbelievable.
The Central Falcons' 1997 season began at home against the Anniston Bulldogs. Star running back Marvin Constant looked good here, but sprained his ankle on the very next play. Central special teams make a special play. Sam Mayfield, the first Falcon on the scene to force the Anniston turnover. Deshaun Ivory took Constant's place and scored a 14-yard touchdown. Central up 7-0. It wasn't long before the Falcons were threatening again. Jermaine Howard scores Central's second touchdown. It's a 15-yarder. And that was the first of Howard's 2 TDs in the game. Here's his second. It's a 16-yard gallop. The defense was led by Robert Branch, big number 98, with the sack of the Anniston quarterback. A Quentin Little blitz produces another Falcon sack. Falcons win 21-7 over the Anniston Bulldogs. Game 2, Woodlawn visits Falcon Field on the second week of the season. But the Falcons didn't treat their guests with very much kindness. Robert Branch forcing the fumble. Central turns the turnover into points. Marvin Constant, bad ankle at all, scores from the 1. Deshaun Ivory scores the next Central TD. He dives into the end zone. It's 14-0 Falcons. Woodlawn goes to the air, and John Bibb picks off the pass. And he takes it 51 yards the other way. 21-0, Falcons on top. Now it's the second half, and watch the Falcons defense. 9 men attacking the ball carrier. Following a Woodlawn fumble, Jermaine Howard scored from the 1. Colonels try another pass, and the Falcons get another interception. Sam Mayfield coming down with the tipped pass. When Central tried the airways, they had some success. Jeff Nichols to Blake Ward for a good gain. And this tremendous fourth quarter touchdown run by Dante Garrett finished off a 35-6 Central win. The men in black, Ensley, came to T-Town for Game 3, and the opening kickoff let you know right away this was going to be a hard-hitting affair. Bradley Hill delivers the big blow. Damian Stockdale is the hard hitter on this play. That forced an Ensley punt. The snap out of the end zone means points for Central. The Falcons up by a score of 2-0. Second quarter, Deshaun Ivory down the sideline, steps out at the 5-yard line. But 2 plays later, Jermaine Howard takes it in from the 1. And Ivory takes it in for the 2 points. Falcons lead 10-0. On the defensive side of the ball, 5 Falcons take part in this quarterback sack. Back on offense, Jeff Nichols goes up top to Marcus Stewart. It's a good gain. Then it's Marvin Constant. Deshaun Ivory. And Constant again. All behind the right side of the offensive line. 16-0 Central on the 6-yard touchdown run. A 32-yard Zach K field goal made it 19-0. Falcons on top at halftime. The O-line opens a big hole for Deshaun Ivory on this play, and he takes it 33 yards, another Falcons touchdown. A Marvin Constant 8-yard TD run made it 33-0 Central. Falcons defense was fabulous. Demetrius Stockdale with the INT. And this run by Eddie Hollinas set up another Marvin Constant TD. Falcons win 40-0. Huffman is Central's guest in week number 4. Now watch the defense as Damian Stockdale and Robert Branch rough up the Huffman runner. It's Branch again. Coach Busby likes to see his guys hit hard. Time for the Central ground game to go to work. Ivory scores, and it's 7-0 Central. Then the Vikings were trying to score, but Robert Branch, Edward Odom, and friends would have none of that. Huffman throws, and Travell Surlis hits hard. Third quarter, Marvin Constant refuses to go down. Instead, he goes into the end zone. The 36-yard touchdown run makes it 14-0 Falcons. Back on defense, Damian Stockdale smothers the Huffman quarterback. Watch this tough running by Marvin Constant. Falcons go on to win 14-0 and improve to 4-0. Falcons' first road trip came in week number 5 at Jess Lanier. Falcons on defense and John Bibb on the Purple Tiger with a great tackle. And Robert Branch throws Lanier for a loss. But the Purple Tigers led 6-0 when Deshaun Ivory broke through for a 27-yard touchdown run. It's 7-6 Falcons. On defense, watch this interception by Dante Garrett. That's a great play. Marvin Constant, 12 tough yards right up the middle. But it was 12-7 Lanier, third quarter, and Demetrius Stockdale with the pick. Fourth quarter, Deshaun Ivory takes it down to the 5-yard line. 2 plays later, the Falcons take the lead on Ivory's 2-yard run. And Ivory adds the 2-point conversion. It's 15-12 Central. Another Central interception, Jason Hartman putting his stamp on this one. And Jermaine Howard flips in from the 1 as the Falcons win 22-18. Back at Falcon Field for Game 6. Rival Robert E. Lee coming into town. Damian Stockdale greets the Generals harshly. And as the Generals try to score, Travell Surlis hits him hard, knocks the ball loose in the end zone. It's recovered by John Bibb for the Falcons. Marvin Constant had a couple of good runs. But Central trailed 14-0 at halftime. Second half, watch the interception by Dante Garrett, and he follows up the pick with a good return. Their ground game grounded. Central goes to the air. Nichols to Stockdale. All the way down, almost in the end zone. He's out of bounds inside the 1. Jermaine Howard's touchdown run here made it 14-7. The Falcons trailing Robert E. Lee. Deshaun Ivory with a good run. And he's the receiver on this big pass play. But the Falcons lose for the first time, 21-9. West End was the Week 7 opponent for the Falcons at home. Central defense out to a good start. Sam Mayfield with the stop. After a West End touchdown made it 6-0, Deshaun Ivory returned the ensuing kickoff 46 yards. Second quarter, still 6-0. Josh Jones with the big hit. Marvin Constant, now a linebacker, a hard-hitting linebacker. More defense from Edward Odom. And Josh Jones. Jones and Sam Mayfield team up on this play. And it's Jones again. On offense, Deshaun Ivory gets some blocks, breaks some tackles, goes all the way down near the 20-yard line. Zach Kay's 38-yard field goal made it 12-3 Lions at the half. Falcons blocked the field goal in the second half. Marcus Stewart returned it all the way, but West End wins 12-10. The always tough Prattville Lions invade Falcon Field on week number 8. Opening drive, and the Falcons ran the ball downfield, leading to a Zach Kay 25-yard field goal. It's 3-0 Central. And the Central defense was awesome, led by who else? Robert Branch and Josh Jones. Still 3-0. Third quarter, Central still playing defense. Marvin Constant and Myron Lyons making this play. And Dante Garrett, the perfect tackle. Still 3-0 Falcons going into the fourth quarter. That's when Garrett came up with another play, forcing the incompletion. Still more defense. Demetrius Stockdale intercepts the Prattville pass. And a little while later, another Stockdale INT. Coach Busby's Falcons are in a big-time battle with the Lions. Falcons get one more interception from Travell Surlis to preserve the shutout. Central wins 3-0. They're now 6-2. It was Halloween night when Hueytown's tricky Golden Gophers came to Tuscaloosa, but it was no treat for them. Watch Marvin Constant plug the gap and nail the ball carrier. Zach Kay's 38-yard field goal gave Central a 3-0 lead late first quarter. It was 6-3 Hueytown. Second quarter when Jason Hartman scored from the 5. It's 10-6 Central. Back on defense, Josh Jones tackles the runner and the blocker. Jones again, this time sacking the quarterback. You just never know who you're going to see on Halloween. Second half, 10-6 Central when Jermaine Howard runs behind the right side of the line over and over and over. And over until Jason Hartman goes left 16 yards, but the Falcons score. It's 17-6. Central on top. Now, back on defense. The hits just keep on coming. How about 2 in a row for Marvin Constant? Then, out of the fog comes Jermaine Howard on a punt return, all the way down to the Hueytown 5. It's 24-6 Central after this Howard touchdown run. Donis Coward tallies a 27-yard TD. Time for another Robert Branch sack. The Falcons are treated to a 31-6 victory heading into the season finale with Tuscaloosa County High. Game 10 at Wildcat Stadium in Northport, a playoff berth on the line, and the action began on the opening kickoff. The Falcons pinning the Wildcats deep in their own territory. And on County's first offensive play, they fumble in the end zone. Travell Surlis recovers it. It's 7-0 Central, just 17 seconds into the ball game. Central defense means Robert Branch. And Dante Garrett. And Robert Branch again. And again. And Branch one more time. On offense, this Jermaine Howard touchdown means overtime. And the Falcons fans are loving it. Here's one overtime score. Jeff Nichols finds Jason Hartman for the double OT TD. We're tied at 28. But it wasn't meant to be. Falcons lose a tough one in triple overtime, but the Falcons fans certainly had a lot to cheer for in 1997.